Starting off our list is a scene from Avengers Infinity War, when Spider-Man turns to dust. The most heartbreaking scene in the movie is when Spidey is saying goodbye to Iron Man after Thanos snapped and everyone started to disappear.
I don't feel so good.
You're alright.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Sir, please.
If your eyes didn't tear up, then you must not have a heart, because that was sad. Turns out it was so heartbreaking though, because most of it was actually improvised. During an interview, the directors Joe and Anthony Russo opened up about the scene, saying they knew that they wanted it to be a tearjerker. The lines written in the script were, "I don't feel so good and I'm sorry." However, once it was first performed on set, they didn't think it was devastating enough, so they took a different approach and told him to improvise his emotions into the scene. They told him to use everything he can to fight it, because being dusted is the last thing he wants to happen as a young kid. After that, they said, and I quote, "He unlocked it emotionally. He understood what we were asking for. He interpreted what we asked him to do. Improvisation between he and Downey, that is in the film." So the scene we saw in the movie was actually the take they did after they told him to improvise. Talk about professionalism and talent. Am I right? At number 9 is the hilarious scene from 40-Year-Old Virgin. Yes, the waxing scene. Because a man getting waxed is always hilarious, let's be honest, especially when it is Steve Carell. The movie has been voted one of the greatest comedies ever made on multiple occasions. One scene in particular though had everyone howling, and that was when Steve Carell was getting his chest waxed.
Sweetie pie hole! ¿Cómo se llama? No, Kelly Clarkson!
Turns out the scene was filmed with 5 different cameras at once so that nothing was missed. Why? Because the scene was improvised and the ridiculous reactions from the actor are all genuine and real. He really did have his chest waxed. The scene could only be done in one shot since the waxing was actually taking place in real time. This is why you can see some of the other cast members breaking character and laughing. It was all real, no script. So gentlemen, tell me, would you get your chest waxed for a movie scene? So at their number 8 spot. Coming in at number 7 is a moment from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It's from a scene with the famous line, "I didn't know you could read." During the scene, with the help from some polyjuice potion, Harry disguises himself as Gregory Goyle, which is one of Draco's friends. But his cover is almost blown because he forgets to take off his glasses, and Draco calls Goyle out for never having glasses before.
Why are you wearing glasses?
Reading.
Reading? I didn't know you could read.
Draco's hilarious response, "I didn't know you could read," was actually improvised because he forgot his actual line. Since then, scripts have been posted online showing what the original screenplay was for the scene. The original was a lot shorter and not as comedic, but the director liked it so much that he kept it. His line was actually written into the screenplay. The actor opens up about it himself during an interview.
Wearing glasses, Goyle? He goes, "Oh, reading. Reading. Didn't know you could read?" Which was an improv line thrown in by Chris Columbus, which was very sweet. I enjoyed it.
The actor says it's one of his favorite lines of the whole series because he made it up and he was thrilled that it made it into the final cut. In at number 6 is a scene from Bridesmaids. To keep it simple, it is the poop scene. Bridesmaids was pretty much adored by everyone who saw it because it's sweet and hilarious at the same time. But there is one scene that's so disturbing that it's laugh out loud funny and also disgusting. It's a scene when we see all the girls suffer from a sudden burst of food poisoning.
It's happening. It's happening. It happened. What are you doing? It happened.
After the movie came out, it was revealed that the sequence of the scene wasn't originally planned in the script. The filmmaker, Robert Yeoman, opened up about his experience filming the movie and that one scene in particular. He explained that there was script adjustments every day on set due to the humor that would often go off script. He admits that he was, and I quote, "a little horrified by the whole thing. It's not my style of humor really, and I just wasn't sure how this was all going to be pulled off." Well, it is a good thing that he gave it a chance though, because although it was revolting, people found it to be hilarious. Yeoman went on to say that he wasn't happy with how it turned out in the final cut. He said, "A lot of people really love that scene. It's just one I'm not a big fan of." What do you guys think? Was that scene hilarious or too much? I thought it was hilarious. Halfway through at number 5 is a moment from Fast and Furious 6, the scene where he spits out the drink.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby oil. I'm just playing. You better hide that big ass forehead. I was just joking.
The scene was at the end of the movie when Tyrese Gibson's character Roman tells Hobbs to hide his baby oil. Dwayne Johnson improvised his next line, "You better hide that big ass forehead," causing Ludacris to spit out his drink in laughter. Turns out that Johnson wasn't supposed to respond to that comment, and Luda's laugh is genuine, which is why he spit out the drink. The take was so good that they left it in, and we are so glad that they did. The line has been made into a number of different memes and GIFs, and people often remember it when they are needing a comeback of their own. Sliding to number 4 is a scene from Wolf of Wall Street. You know, the one where Matthew McConaughey bangs on his chest for no apparent reason. During a podcast interview in 2017, the actor opens up about his chest banging and says it was a ritual he did on set before every scene. He said, "It was a relaxation technique, a way to get out of my head. I was doing that before each take to relax, and then we'd yell action and I would start the scene and I would stop doing that." So how did it end up being a part of the scene then? Turns out the two actors, McConaughey and DiCaprio, had done 5 takes of the scene already, and he thought it would be a fun idea to try and add his chest banging into the scene somehow.
Keep it up on me.
During the scene, you can see Leo breaking character a little bit by laughing and even looking over to the camera crew. So somehow Matthew's personal relaxation technique became a part of the movie, and the actor says that he still uses the technique on every set. As for Leo, probably not. Alright guys, at number 3 is a moment from the 2008 movie Iron Man. Yes, the famous line, "I am Iron Man," was actually improvised. Some of you probably don't even believe me. The president of the MCU, Kevin Feige, opened up during an interview in 2018, saying that Robert Downey Jr. improvised that iconic line and it changed the MCU forever. He went on to explain the movie's big twist ending was not planned, nor was it in the script. The movie ends with Tony Stark holding a press conference and admitting to the world, "I am Iron Man."
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
The actor went off script while filming the scene and blurted out the line, which Kevin ended up approving of and loving it. Turns out the reveal was a breakthrough for the MCU. Kevin Feige said, "That success inspired us to go further in the trusting ourselves to find balance of staying true to the comics and the spirit of the comics, but not being afraid to adapt and evolve and to change things." Just when we thought Robert Downey Jr. couldn't get any better, we find out that he came up with the iconic line and twist himself. At number 2 is a scene from The Dark Knight, the Joker clapping scene. Iconic actor Heath Ledger was known for his incredible performance as the Joker, who often improvised his character's behaviors and reactions. We know this because the director Christopher Nolan opened up during an interview in 2018, talking about how unpredictable Heath Ledger's performance was and what it was like shooting with him. The Joker was chaotic, clever, violent, and so exciting to watch because you had no idea what the hell he was going to do next. Christopher Nolan spoke on it and said, "A lot of what Heath did he would discuss with me, but in terms he'd give me hints about what he was going to do, or we would talk about it a bit, and I would try and be an audience for him or sort of gauge with him about what he was doing. But a lot of it was about unpredictability, and I think he wanted to play his cards a little close to his chest." He went on to say that he often found himself looking at the crew and saying, "Please tell me you got that." One of those moments was during the scene when Gordon gets promoted to commissioner and the Joker begins to clap from inside of his jail cell. It wasn't a part of the script at all, but Nolan said he immediately told the crew to keep filming. The moment was so good that they just had to keep it in the movie. Taking our number 1 spot is a scene from The Shining. Even if you haven't seen the movie, you probably know about the iconic line, "Here's Johnny." The scene itself is a famous one, and it's now turned into different memes, artwork, and GIFs. For those who haven't seen it, the scene involves Wendy Torrance and her son Danny, who are hiding in a hotel bathroom from their deranged husband and father, Jack Torrance. A window that opens halfway allows the son to escape outside, but the mother is still trapped in the room. Psychopath Jack makes his way up the staircase with an axe and begins chopping down the bathroom door. Once he busts a hole in the door, he sticks his face in and said, "Here's Johnny."
Here's Johnny.
Who knew 2 words could be so creepy? Turns out that legendary line wasn't written in the script, but was actually the actor's, Jack Nicholson's, brilliant idea. While filming the scene, he decided to improv the line, and it almost didn't make it into the final cut. Jack Nicholson said he used that line as an imitation of announcer Ed McMahon, who famously introduces Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show the same way. Something so far from scary, but when he added it into this scene, somehow it turned disturbing and weird.
In at number 10, Clueless. Donald Faison is a hilarious actor, and some of his best moments in films was whenever he would improvise scenes. For example, was when he played Murray in Clueless, and during a scene where his friend Lawrence is shaving his head, he had to react to his girlfriend freaking out. Apparently, he had overheard kids in his neighborhood using the saying, keeping it real, so when it came down to explaining why he was doing what he was doing, he just kept repeating that line over and over again.
Why did you do this to your head?
Because I'm keeping it real. Because I'm keeping it real.
Look what he's done to his head. Can you believe this?
Look at Lawrence's head. Alright? It's the bomb.
It was a scene that just kept layering memorable line on top of memorable line, which all started with Donald simply improvising that iconic movie line. In at number 9, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Chamber of Secrets was based on J.K. Rowling's 1998 novel of the same name. The film was the second installment in the Harry Potter film series, and while filming poor Tom Felton, he forgot his lines. Tom played Draco Malfoy, who in his younger years was sassy before we even began to understand what being sassy was. He always had these snide, bullyish remarks that fit in his Slytherin character just so well, and in this scene in particular, Tom approaches his fellow bullies Crabble and Goyle, but he blanks on the final line. He first asks him why he's wearing glasses, but then improvises the line that follows, which actually turned out to be one of his favorite lines of the entire series. Mine too.
Why are you wearing glasses?
Reading.
Reading? I didn't know you could read.
In at number 8, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Gene Wilder will forever be a legend in the acting world. He was as eccentric as he was brilliant, and more than that, he understood the psychology of acting. The story of this film was that Willy Wonka had been in hiding for a very long time. So when the kids and their guardians arrived at the factory's front entrance with their golden tickets in hand, he needed to make it a spectacle of sorts. Not only that, but he needed to set the stage for what would come following this. Gene understood that he needed to appear warm and welcoming, but also have an air of deception about him. In order to get this message across to audiences, Gene improvised his approach to the entrance. As he hobbled over, showing that age had taken its toll, he suddenly did a somersault right in front of them. This would further cement the idea in audiences' minds that while he may seem innocent, he is still capable of deception. In at number 7, Midnight Cowboy. According to Dustin Hoffman, when they were filming the movie Midnight Cowboys back in 1969, they were doing it amongst actual traffic. Nowadays, for safety purposes, these types of exterior shoots are very coordinated so that stuff like I'm about to show you doesn't happen. I mean, thank God it did, because it birthed a hilarious and iconic line. However, we can also sympathize with the executives wanting to make sure that their talent are safe and secure while on set. They had just done this scene multiple times, but it kept getting delayed because of their surroundings. So when they finally nailed the scene, Hoffman was all psyched up. Then out of nowhere, a taxi driver almost runs into them as they're walking across the street, which prompts Dustin Hoffman to slam the car and yell, "I'm walking here!"
They have some kind of middleman, and that's where old Daniel comes in, you know what I mean? I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
In at number 6, The Shining. The Shining is still one of the creepiest movies I have ever seen, and a big part of that was the insane brilliance of Jack Nicholson.
Here's Johnny.
Jack Nicholson's character in the film was named Jack, not Johnny, but he ad-libbed the line "Here's Johnny" as an imitation of announcer Ed McMahon's famous introduction of Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show. Director Stanley Kubrick, who had been living in England since before Carson took over The Tonight Show, had really no idea what the cultural significance of "Here's Johnny" meant. But soon it would become so iconic that Carson himself even used that clip of Nicholson as the introduction to one of his annual anniversary specials. It's pretty GOAT status right there if you ask me. In at number 5, Aladdin. Sadly, I don't think there will ever be someone like Robin Williams, and thankfully his brilliance has been bottled up in fantastic films like Aladdin. During an interview with Disney animator Eric Goldberg, he was asked if Robin did any improvisation during the movie, for which Eric replied, "That would be like saying, did you see the Pope wearing his vestments?" Most of the lines in that film were improvised, and the animators absolutely loved it because it gave them a real opportunity to bring his various voices to life. He would switch so seamlessly from a game show host to an evangelist with a comedic confidence unlike anything we've ever witnessed. His Pinocchio bit in the film was simply based on one of their recording sessions, and they loved it so much that they actually found a way to go back and edit it into the film. Although my favorite scene that Robin improvised was his impressions of Rodney Dangerfield and Jack Nicholson.
That's a good move. I can't believe it. I'm losing to a rug. Here's the deal. If you want to court the little lady, you gotta be a straight shooter. Do you got it?
In at number 4, Pretty Woman. During an interview with the American Film Institute, director Gary Marshall spoke about how actor Richard Gere would constantly challenge him to always outdo the hilarious lines written in the script. In one scenario, Julia Roberts improvised that the play that they just saw was so funny that she almost peed her pants. It was so funny and so honest that everyone on set loved it, but Richard knew that they could take that to another place and get an even bigger laugh from it. Although that is just one example, perhaps the best improvised scene in this film was the iconic jewelry box scene. Gary himself loves pranks, and he wanted to shoot a lot of improvised scenes to give his actors room to fly, but he also secretly wanted to use those clips for gag reels. The night before the scene was shot, Julia was out partying to celebrate her birthday, so the next day she was a little tired. Gary pulled Richard aside and said, "For this scene, do something with the box that'll wake her up a bit." And sure enough, when Julia began to reach for the shiny new bracelet that Richard's character was giving to her as a gift, he quickly slammed the box shut on her hand.
It's only on loan.
It sparked such a genuine surprise and honest laughter from Julia that they actually decided to keep it in the film. Last but certainly not least, in our number 1 spot, Fast and Furious 6. The Rock is no stranger to talking smack. I mean, it was pretty much his entire career for a very long time. Especially considering that in front of an audience of 30,000 in attendance and millions watching at home, there was no time for a second take. This inherently built this muscle of being able to improvise from moment to moment and still crack out some very memorable lines. When it came to filming Fast and Furious 6, Dwayne Johnson improvised a line that actually made Ludacris spit his drink out from laughing so hard.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby oil.
I'm just playing.
You better hide that big forehead.
I was just joking.